It's kind of weird, right? You see people with these massive paychecks, but they're still drowning in debt. And then you see others with way more modest incomes who are building some serious fortunes. So what's the deal? It's actually not about how much money you make. It's about what you do with it. Today, we're going to dig into one key lesson from Rich Dad, Poor Dad that I promise you will completely change how you think about money. Okay, so let's set the scene. Picture this. It's 1923. You're at a swanky hotel in Chicago. And in one room, you've got a meeting of some of the most powerful, most successful businessmen on the entire planet. I'm talking about the heads of the biggest steel and gas companies, legendary stock speculators. These guys were the absolute titans of industry back then. I mean, these guys collectively controlled more wealth than the entire US Treasury. They were the poster children for success. But here's where the story gets crazy. Let's jump forward 25 years to 1948. What happened to them? Well, it's a pretty shocking twist. Almost every single one of them met a tragic end. We're talking dead broke, in jail, or worse. The success, it just didn't last. So you gotta ask, right? What on earth went wrong? These were the best of the best when it came to making money. So the problem couldn't have been their income. Nope. It was something much more fundamental. It was their financial understanding. It all came down to a huge misunderstanding of two very simple words. See, the real secret to building and, more importantly, keeping wealth, it isn't buried in some complicated spreadsheet or a fancy accounting degree. It all boils down to understanding the real difference between two words. Just two. And they're words that, honestly, most of us think we know, but we usually get them completely wrong. And that's it. This is the foundation, the bedrock of the whole thing. According to Rich Dad, Poor Dad, mastering this one single idea is what separates the wealthy from everyone else. This is the one rule that's quietly running your entire financial life, whether you know it or not. All right, so let's just forget whatever complicated definitions you learned in an economics class. We're going to throw all that out. Instead, we're going to use two incredibly simple, super powerful definitions that just cut through all the jargon and make things crystal clear. Here's the first one: an asset. So, what is it? It's simple. An asset is anything that puts money in your pocket. That's it. Think of it like a little money machine that you own. It just works for you day and night, generating income. Simple, right? And on the flip side, we have a liability. And you can probably guess this one. A liability is anything that takes money out of your pocket. It's the opposite. It's like a leaky bucket that's constantly draining your cash. If it's costing you money, it's a liability. So let's just put them side by side, because this is the whole game right here. Asset puts money in your pocket. Liability takes money out of your pocket. One feeds you. The other one eats what you've earned. This super simple cash flow direction, that's either the engine driving you toward wealth, or it's what's keeping you stuck. Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. Let's take this super simple rule and apply it to the biggest purchase most people will ever make in their entire lives. Yep, I'm talking about your house. So based on our new definitions, is your house an asset? And here it is, maybe the most controversial idea in the entire book. Your house is not an asset. It's a liability. Now, I know, that goes against everything we're ever taught, right? We're told our whole lives that buying a home is the smartest investment we can make. But let's be really strict with our definition. Does the house you live in put money in your pocket every month? I mean, let's just think about it logically for a second. Every single month, money is flowing out of your pocket, isn't it? You've got the mortgage payment, property taxes, insurance. Oh, and don't forget maintenance and all those surprise repairs. It doesn't generate a single dollar of income for you. And look, I get it. A home is a very emotional thing, but the book makes a great point. When emotions go up, financial intelligence tends to go down. And just looking at the cold, hard cash flow, your primary home fits our definition of a liability perfectly. Okay, so now that we've got this crystal clear distinction between assets and liabilities, let's see how this actually plays out in the real world. Because this one simple idea, it basically creates three completely different financial paths that people follow. So check out this breakdown of what happens when money comes in. For the rich, the very first thing they do with their income is buy assets. Stocks, real estate, businesses, things that are going to make them more money. Now, look at the middle class. They tend to take their money and buy liabilities that they think are assets, like a nicer house or a brand new car. And then for the poor, well, any income that comes in goes right back out to cover expenses, leaving nothing behind. And this right here, this is what creates that trap. You've probably heard it called the rat race. It's the cycle where, as a person's income goes up, so does their spending on liabilities. They get a raise, so they buy a bigger house with a bigger mortgage. They get a bonus, so they get a fancier car with a bigger payment. They end up working harder and harder and harder just to keep paying for all this stuff that's constantly taking money out of their pockets. So if that's the trap, how do you get out? Well, the way out is actually beautifully simple. It's all about making a fundamental shift in where you put your financial focus. The goal, it's not just to earn more money. That's not it. The real goal is to acquire more assets, things that work for you. It's about building a strong, powerful asset column because true wealth isn't measured by the size of your paycheck. It's measured by how much cash flow your assets are generating for you, even while you sleep. So what are we talking about when we say true assets? Well, think about things like stocks that pay dividends or bonds, or income-generating real estate like a rental property that brings in cash every month. It could be intellectual property like royalties from a book, or even a business that you own but that doesn't need you there to run it day to day. These are the real building blocks of financial freedom. So really, the whole strategy can be boiled down to 3 simple steps. Step 1, you have to know the difference. I mean, really, truly understand what an asset is and what a liability is. Step 2, focus your money on buying assets. That becomes your primary financial mission. And then step 3, this is the fun part, let your assets pay for your luxuries. See, the rich don't buy a fancy car with their paycheck. They buy an asset, and then they use the income from that asset to pay for the car. Big difference. And that really brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. It's a question you have to ask yourself. The next time you get paid, before you spend even $1, just stop and ask, what is my money buying? Is it buying me an asset that's going to work for me and pay me back? Or is it buying me a liability that's just going to cost me more in the long run? Because your answer to that one simple question, well, that's what will decide your entire financial future.